Good afternoon, everybody. I'm with my brother, Rabbi Scott. We're here at OP Schnabel Park. Some of the Beck ladies are getting in some dance practice. We figured since it's such a beautiful day outside, let's go ahead and come outside and take care of this conversation early while we can enjoy some of this beautiful weather before that wonderful Texas heat kicks in.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going and playing on the playground there. It looks pretty good.
Well, let's take care of Let's take care of business first, brother, before we go and talk about the swing set.
So there was a brother who sent in a question, and he'll remain anonymous for the sake of his person. But his question started out as, how is that if I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, that nothing changes or nothing improves? All right, so the question is really twofold, right? If we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing, growth should be happening, and we should be experiencing, it may not be drastic improvement, they may be small brick by brick improvements until the foundation is built and laid. In either case, we can't discount any improvement, even if it's not the measure that you're hoping for. If, however,
that kind of goes into one of the things that I'm always telling everybody, especially in the whether it be the fitness world, spiritual, whatever, progress is always forward, even if it's only half a step at a time. That's still half a step ahead of where you were 5 minutes ago. Shalom, Mom. You're still that much further than you were, a minute or a day ago or whatever.
Yeah, the thing is that we're supposed to reflect daily where we're at and where we're going, and be honest about that. So if you keep seeming to do all the right things, and if it's just the same pattern of broken relations, the same pattern of struggling, the same patterns all the time, then it begs the question, is the pattern that you're using to fulfill all the things you're supposed to do, is that correct? And if that's not correct, then you need to change the pattern, is ultimately, because something isn't in sync. It's often debated if Luke was the rich young guy who went to go approach Yeshua in the New Testament. And he says, look, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. What else must I do? Yeshua says, well, sell all that you own and come take up and follow me. Well, this didn't sit well with him, right? Because he figured he could just do this pattern. Well, the problem is that we may do all the things, but if we're still not making time to connect with our Creator, if we're not making time to make Him the King of our lives, regardless of however many things you're doing, if you're still not making Him the King of your life, or spending time with Him. And I'm not saying you open up your thing, you just start a whole grievance process, right, or a Christmas list, but actually conversating and being quiet for a moment so He can speak, then yeah, the pattern's going to stay the same, and you will see hardly any progress, because you have to pause yourself or how well of a relationship would you have with another brother, or even say a romantic relationship, if you never made time for it? How long would it last?
Not very long.
No, I mean, you and that guy you call a brother probably wouldn't really be brothers in anything but name or word. But when God pairs us to be brothers, whether spiritual or physical, it's not just in word, it's in deed also. So we have to make time for one another. Not just, and it's the same with God. He's our creator. He's our spiritual father. He's the author of our destiny. We have to make time for him.
Kind of going along those lines, that same individual who sent the question. It's been a minute since we've seen you in service there, brother.
Well, I mean,
as my brother Rabbi is saying, make time for him. It's also probably a good idea to come to service. So this way, like when you do the altar calls, they can come up there, they can be prayed for. They can pray and be prayed for.
Yeah.
Prayed over. So this way they can leave those things up at the altar, and at the same time, kind of tearing down those veils that I know you've talked about before, where the tendency is we like to compartmentalize God, trying to package him up in this nice little package, stick him on the shelf, and this is the only thing that God can do per se, and we put limitations on the things he can do for us in our lives.
Yeah, God is the creator of the universe. You should make time for him. And look, believe it or not, and I've heard this saying more times than I can count, I can worship God anywhere. That's a true statement. The idea is, yes, you should worship God everywhere. But setting that statement aside, there's something about, and my mentor taught me this, there's something about when you come to fellowship with other believers or even other new people of the faith. Your life also helps edify the other new person who's coming there. Whether you can understand that or not, early on in Ishka, when she used to dance, there would always be somebody that would come up and say, you don't know how watching you worship the Lord moved me and encouraged me to keep going. I've heard people say about Brother John early when he used to dance. You don't know how watching him actually get out there and do it when no other guys would encouraged me to keep going and keep, drawing closer to God. So there's very valid truth in the statement, iron sharpens iron. When we come there, whether we're fully knowledgeable about the Torah or maybe we just barely been studying a month, whatever it is, go, because you being there encourages other people. Even the new people who show up, they encourage the people who've been there for quite some time. And it's a whole process. Just like making time to spend with God is vitally important. Making time to spend with your community that he's planted you is vitally important. So wherever you go, wherever it is, wherever God leads you, spend time, make time for that community and get involved. Even the most minute things make a huge difference in the kingdom. So, do your part. My brother does a wonderful job at the Phoenix, at the Project Phoenix thing, and he does a wonderful job at whatever synagogue he's involved in. And so, whatever projects you're involved in, get involved, because that helps encourage other people who are trying to make a difference as well. And ultimately, you, I, the Project Phoenix, the synagogues, the churches, we're all trying to bring about a place that God would dwell with all of us. And by helping up the downtrodden and the discouraged, you and I are helping to make things better. And, if you're doing all the right things, but things still don't seem right, again, examine your pattern. Examine your pattern. Are you involved with God's community? Are you making a difference in people's lives?
The question I have is, if you say you're doing all the right things, are you really doing all the right things? because obviously they're still in the same place. It's like you gave a teaching about God's going to keep us going around that mountain until we've learned that lesson. Apparently, if you're still going around that same mountain, you're going around that same mountain time and time and time and time again, and you say you're doing all the right things, per se, obviously there's something not right with those right things that you're doing. So something's got to change in that life, in your life. What are you doing differently to make that change? Like my brother Rabbi says, or are you making time to spend with the King? Are you taking time to pray? And when you're praying and talking to God, or are you shutting up long enough for God to talk back, for Him to tell you, hey, here's what you need to be doing? If you're not, then maybe you might want to take a minute and just be quiet for a moment. So this way you can give God a chance to speak. I see people come up to my brother a lot, and they'll be like, "Oh, Rabbi, I have this going on, this going on, this going on," and basically unload the world on him. And I see him. He stays patient, but he wants to interject. Well, hey, what about? Well, and they just keep going and going and going and going. And he's like, he'll finally come to a point where we're like, well, hold on a second. Let's talk about the first issue, and then we'll talk about the second one. So, if these right things that you're doing have kept you where you're at, then obviously they're not the right things.
Again, the example that we have in the Bible of this is the rich young ruler, right? The guy who approached Jesus, Yeshua, and he says, I'm doing everything. And so Yeshua says, sell all that you own and follow. In other words, make those things secondary and make God primary. And that goes with his kingdom too, because cursed is the one who doesn't care for those who are his, but blessed is those who looks out for the children of God, right?
Yep.
So, blessed is he who cares for the widow, blessed is he who cares for the orphan. But if you look at what an orphan really is it's a child without parents, or a child who doesn't know his parent, right? And God is our parent. So once we come to walk in God and walk in the fullness thereof, we're no longer orphans or lost, but we're found. But then until we have to keep making time, keep spending time with Him, and watch your life change, because it will. It might not be comfortable, because maybe you got used to a pattern of this is how I serve God, this is how I worship Him, and beyond then, I don't, that's it. The first step of faith is always the hardest. After that, it's not so bad.
It's like I've posted this meme a couple times. The hardest lift you'll ever make is your butt off the couch. That kind of ties into that as well.
Yeah, so, make a difference. Choose to be a blessing. And if you want your life to truly change the pattern. There's a brother, he always repeats the same process with females. Always, always, always. It's the same identical pattern. And he's been through a couple of them. And so, what are you doing that's the same? And every time this brother gets involved, God always goes way to the backfield, and whoever it is that he's entertaining the idea of being with is like everything. And they can't be everything. Only God can be everything. So if you want true relationship, true blessing of God, make Him your God.
So this kind of just came to me, but we've talked about spiritual maturity before, praise and worship, praying different, worshiping different. You praise and worship a little bit different from what I praise and worship from what another. But we make time to praise and worship. Should we be on the same level, or should be you've talked about the story of Paul, how Paul says, hey, people are still babies in the faith, or they should be on the weightier things, not just on the milk.
Right. Yeah. Look. Again, I think this is going to become a bumper sticker for me at some point. Every person's on their own journey at their own pace. Say you and I and brother over there, we're all in a service, and they're playing something that's kind of really upbeat, and he'll pop in the dance and just start going with it, whereas you might just lift your hands and surrender to the King, and another guy might just start singing hallelujah and these kinds of things. It's the same thing that Paul said. Where you're at is where, and you're not expected to be where he is. He's not expected to be where you are, because we all have these moments where we just need to lift our hands and surrender. We just need to, you know what? This is yours. You own it all. I'm your vessel. We just need to surrender. And other times we do need to shout, right? Even when the flesh feels like, well, someone's going to look at it. We just need to shout and give, hallelujah, praise God. Just edify and glorify the King right then and there. And other times, do a little dance right there in your little, just right there within yourself, right? Just praise God. So it's where you're at, but none of it should be held back by however your flesh is feeling. So do it where you're at, whatever the Spirit within you is calling you to do. And again, it's that step of faith. Just do it, right? Don't hold back. Just get it. And watch. You'll actually feel pretty good. I mean, you might walk away from worship talking about, man, why didn't I do that years ago? Or, or something. So, again, dive in, change your pattern, bless the King, involve him in your life, give him room to speak, and watch him change it up.
Yep. This Thursday, what do we got going on this Thursday?
This Thursday, we will have the classes going on, and for those of you who showed up last Thursday anticipating me concluding the attributes, we will conclude those this week, and I apologize for not concluding them. Those of you who owe me homework, I expect it this Thursday. No excuses. Anastasia.
You know who you are.
Yeah. No excuses. So
no playing hooky either.
Yeah. My gerbil had a cold. Yep. So, what's the saying?
Oh, if your goldfish has a cold, tough. Show up anyways.
Yeah. So, praise God. We'll see you on Thursday.
Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m., 201 Harriman Place. By the way, that's the same address for Thursday night's wonderful classes that take place. Along with that, this
Thursday, there's something very special happening.
So show up.
If you've never been, come for this one-time event. We probably won't do it again for quite some time. So come out and see for yourself. I'm not going to say what it is.
You got to show up.
Yep.
Also, speaking of Project Phoenix earlier, this coming Sunday, the last Sunday of the month, we are doing... Do I need to pick you up so you can make it on time? Okay. At Elmendorf Park, 9 a.m. The Elmendorf Park by Our Lady of the Lake.
I like that. I want to get... Anyway, go ahead.
9 a.m. Over Elmendorf Park by Our Lady of the Lake, the Suicide Awareness Walk. Come on out. Suicide is It's an epidemic that affects everybody. Those people who unfortunately have given into that spirit of fear, depression, or whatever, who feel that whatever their plight is, whatever that they're going through, is so unbearable that they end up taking their own life. That's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Call me, message me, call my brother, message my brother. If you're in the Beck community, if you're not and you see him, he's rabbi. That's part of his job.
Yeah.
So reach out to somebody. The Project Phoenix. I'll share the post for that. There's a helpline for veterans and for non-veterans, for civilians. To call that helpline. Call somebody. Reach out. You're not alone in this. I'm here for you. My brother's here for you. Everybody in Project Phoenix is here for you.
And you do matter.
Absolutely.
You do matter. We do care about you, and you may say, well, you don't know me yet, but I know that God created you, and I know that you're made in His image, and that He loves you enough to die for you. So, that being said, like Sister and Angel said, everyone has something beautiful. So, reach out to Project Phoenix, to Baruch Eloheinu, or to whatever the synagogue or church near to you is. If that can't help you, we will. So, blessings.
Yeah. I will be posting the 1-800 numbers. 1-800 numbers. They're toll-free numbers. So if you're suffering from some type of depression or whatever, you can call those. They're free. It's a free hotline to reach out and talk and let people know what's going on. Let people help you. So this way you can be here for that purpose that you're created to be here for. So that being said, Thursday evening, 201 Harriman Place, 7 p.m. I hope to see each and every one of you there. You have an open invitation for myself and my brother and my family to yours to come on out and join us. There is something special going on this Thursday, so come on out. Look forward to seeing every single last one of the people who see this. If you see this, hit the share button right now, later, whenever you see this video, please hit the share button. This way we can put this out to everybody. With that being said, God bless, shalom, and I hope to see you guys not only this Thursday, but this Saturday morning, 201 Harriman Place, and Sunday, 9 a.m. sharp at Elmendorf Park by Our Lady of Lake University. God bless.